Welcome to another episode of the Mad Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Begley, Goni, and Wayne.
What is up, Mad Mob? Let's get it. Caught one snacking, caught one drinking.
Let's go.
Back at it. Like I never left. Gentlemen, how are you?
A little upset, man. I didn't have the greatest of fantasy weeks, and in one of the leagues, one of the four that I care about, I went 1-3 in those leagues, by the way. Overall, I think I went like 2-6 this week, but one of them hurts extra bad because it's my only redraft league. I just made a trade 2 weeks ago to put myself in the driver's seat for Dalvin Cook and CeeDee Lamb, and I played myself. I played CeeDee Lamb over DJ Moore, and I lost by 3 points. I'm sorry, I played DJ Moore over CeeDee Lamb, rather.
Ooh.
Gross. Ouch. I'm salty. Kentucky lost tonight, and I had to rehash it with Goni for 20 minutes before the podcast started. So energy's a little low right now, but we'll pick it up.
Yeah, it's never good because Begley and I are diehard Kentucky basketball fans. Goni is not. He's a New Yorker. He couldn't care less about Kentucky basketball. And I don't think he's a big college basketball guy in general. So whenever this happens, he just likes to just beat us into the dirt over it for literally no good reason other than the fact that he's a bad guy.
I'm just a sports fan. I just call him like I see him, man.
Anyways, quick update on the CTFL. Goni, the leading scorer for the week. Begley in second. Myself in last. Goni with 108.08, riding the Justin Fields Cole Kmet tandem to the tune of over 60 points. Beggs with 88.14. Very mediocre week from all his players except for Christian Kirk, who dropped a 30-banger. Myself in last with 80.86. Good weeks out of Amon-Ra and Saquon saved my week. Total standings, Goni in dead last, 738.86. Begley in second, 790.54. And myself still in the driver's seat with a 20.1. Down to the team drafts, Begley still in a commanding lead, 13-5. Jets on a bye, Giants with the win. Goni's team split, Lions win, Jags loss, bringing his total 6-13. Me in last, due to buys. My team split. Panthers won. Bears lost. My total is up to 6-14.
Let's go. Not last place.
Who would have thought, man? Jets and Giants. Who would have thunk it?
Another undefeated week for Beggs at that.
You know, when in doubt, when you're in situations like this, always take the NFC East team. It's pretty standard play.
Wow. It's terrible.
Best division of football.
DFS update. An absolute barn burner between Begley and I. Goni he's in the basement, and he was always in the rear view from the beginning. Wasn't really worried about him. Goni took the -1 this week with a 98.44 total. Begley came in first with 111. I'm going to say his score slowly. 111.5. 111.50. Repeating. I came in second with 111.36. That's right, a 0.14 loss. But a loss is a loss.
Indeed. It's time I got a little bit of that Wayne luck. Begley luck has been around for far too long.
The second week in a row where it literally came down to the last play of a game. Beggs didn't get it 2 weeks ago with Aaron Rodgers, and he capitalized this week. So
let's go, boys. I had to have it.
Tip of the cap.
I was in danger of being Mr. Irrelevant for the rest of the year.
I mean, when I knew that I was going to lose for sure, which was like some time like halfway through the first quarter, I was just rooting for you, Beggs, because I didn't want the gap to widen anymore between Wayne and I. It widened a little bit because I took the -1, but it's better than him getting the +1.
Wayne, what's the new tally?
Yeah. I just have the weekly score. What's the final? What's the total standings right now?
Oh, let me just pull it up real quick for accuracy. It's already updated. Currently, we're sitting at Wayne in first with 2, Goni in second with 0, and then Beggs not far behind with a -1.
I had to have it.
10
Absolutely
weeks in.
had to have it.
10 weeks in.
Wayne, that would have been a 5 point. I would have been 4 behind you. That's a death wish. You've been running so hot.
It's not necessarily a death wish, but time was not going to be on your side.
Still got 8 more weeks. Plenty of time.
I don't know about plenty, but
There's enough time.
There is time.
He's only 3 out. I'm only 2 out. There's plenty of time.
Now, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're 2 out. That's you coming in first and me coming in last. I mean, 2-point swing.
Do you guys want to get into some dynasty questions, or are you going to talk about Eno Benjamin?
Eno.
Why cut him?
Is that a weird move?
Kind of, especially since Cliff Kingsbury handpicked him. He liked him a lot to hear the news on it, and yeah, he's cut after his services were provided.
He filled the role well too, and it's like it's not like James Conner is an absolute stud. Nobody has any chance of diving into his workload.
They must just really like Keontae Ingram.
Or, I mean, maybe there was some off-the-field stuff or something, man. I mean, he was productive when he played.
I mean, I don't even think it's that because he immediately got picked up by Houston.
You know what I do? Just to pivot off of Eno real quick, I'd like to mention 2 things. One, and respond in any order you see fit, gentlemen. I want to know your thoughts on Kenny Galladay getting booed. And I want to hear your all's thoughts on Kadarius Toney getting traded and balling.
Let me take Tony because I know you're close to Galladay.
Fair enough, man.
For some reason, you said his name about 2 million times this offseason. Listen, as soon as the ink dried, his injuries magically went away. He's a first-round talent, man. He's a dude. He looks different when he plays, but he's a head case, bro. Are the Chiefs a good spot for him? I mean, you think so, but they spread the ball around so much.
He looked
Chiefs
good,
are a good spot for any wide receiver.
He just looked good, man. The catches he was making,
Yeah.
There was absolutely no ring rust when those balls were coming his way. I mean, he was winning. He was high pointing the ball. I mean, it was just he looked really, really, really good.
And they gave him 2 carries as well, and he ended up getting 34 yards out of it. So, I mean, if they're going to get him involved like that just because he's an explosive playmaker, I think he's got pretty good value going forward.
Wayne, I'm going to get you a shirt, some Mad Mob swag, and on the back it's just going to say ring rust.
It's a thing, man. It's a thing.
I know it is. It's like your go-to saying. I'm not hating on you. That's just I hadn't heard it before you said it. I googled it because I wanted to flame you on it, and it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Oh, it's definitely a thing. Yeah, absolutely. Kenny Galladay.
Go ahead.
Kenny Galladay, though. I mean, man sucks in just every way, shape, and form. And yeah, Beggs, I dropped his name 1,000+ times before the offseason, and that's just because the value that he could have been gotten at, with his ADP going into the season, he's looking like he's going to be the number 1 guy. He's looking like all the injuries are going to be healed up, and to be able to get a potential number 1 receiver in like the 10th plus round, I mean, I couldn't pass it up. And I mean, I have him in my CTFL team, and we almost have as many points as Kenny Galladay does on the season. It's pretty terrible. So
it was a good call. It was. I'm not hating the logic. It was solid.
Yeah, it was a low risk, high reward, and the risk absolutely won out. So he deserves to get booed. He's getting paid all kinds of money. He's not playing football, and when he plays, he doesn't play good football. So yeah, boo this man.
Yeah, he literally just stole the bag.
Like the Grinch, man. Without a doubt.
Just got paid and said piss on it. I'd boo him too. New
Absolutely.
York is probably not the place to do that, but he did it. New York, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia are the three places I probably wouldn't have done that.
That's what it is, man. And it's so, I'm not going to say easy to be beloved, but like in cities like that, man, you don't have to do a whole lot necessarily to be beloved. And usually, and it goes with the Yankees as well, man, if you show that you suck or you're not putting forth the effort and stuff, it goes just as easily the other way. You're going to be absolutely hated.
Yeah, wearing the colors is half the battle in those cities.
Yeah.
Going, what does the Northeast love more than just a really scrappy white guy?
Someone, I don't know, someone who scores touchdowns. Like, I don't know what you want from me. That's more so in Boston.
Okay.
Would you hear that, Mad Mob? Boston. Sometimes the accent goes to the wayside a little bit, but it always comes back with a lot of power whenever he says Boston. I hate that Goni's got that accent. My name's Austin. I'm glad that he doesn't call me by my first name often. We've kind of pivoted to where, the boys will call me Wayne, and I'm couldn't be more happy because I was tired of hearing Austin. Hey, Austin, come over here.
Yep.
All right, Beggs, hit us with some questions. It is probably your all's deadline week for trades. So I'm thinking we're probably going to try and hit you with another episode in the next day or two, just because there's a lot of questions to get to. So, Beggs, let her rip.
All right, Goni Donkey Dollars. Should he trade a 23-1 for Jalen Hurts? He's got Brady and Stafford.
Yeah, 100% snap call. One quarterback league or not, do it. Jalen Hurts has been great. I think he's top 6 right now. He does it all. He's having a breakout year.
Wayne?
Agreed. Okay. He's different.
Yeah, I agree. Eat Paste 8. 12-team PPR, 1 QB league. Wayne, a 23-1. It's going to be back half. And a late 23 second for Michael Pittman.
I don't think so.
I like this one.
I'm keeping my picks.
Why?
Because who's throwing them the ball? It's going to be quarterback limbo in Indianapolis for the foreseeable future. They're doing just good enough to miss out on the top 4 prospects, and they're just going to be crossing their fingers for one of the lesser ones. And we'll just see. It's quarterback limbo. You just don't know. You don't know who's going to be throwing them the ball, whether it's going to be successful, whether it's going to be a new coach, a new system, a new quarterback. There's too much going on that team and the coaching staff on the offense to trust a wide receiver when I have the ability to get a first round chance at it again next year.
Goni?
I don't really hate that assessment from Wayne at all. I think what Eat Paste is his name, right?
Yes.
I think what he needs to do really is assess his situation as far as does Michael Pittman put you over the top at all? Matt Ryan's the quarterback right now. He's going to be the quarterback possibly for the foreseeable future, but like Wayne said, you don't know if that's what it is right now. That's what we know it as right now. He's already been pulled once. We got a new coach in Jeff Saturday. He put Ryan back in. They won the game. He played well. Didn't have any turnovers. The offensive line looked good. Jonathan Taylor actually looked like Jonathan Taylor. But you don't know. So really it's you, Eat Paste, planting the flag on what you believe. So if you think that Matt Ryan is going to be the guy for the rest of the season and continue to play at a high level, I don't mind it to go ahead and try and get yourself into the playoffs and maybe make a run. But at the same time, I can absolutely see where Wayne's at in taking the more cautious approach because he hasn't been good with Sam Ehlinger. No one's been good with Ehlinger.
Well, what would you do, Gone?
Based on
your opinion.
This, I mean, for the long term, I don't like it. I really don't like it because of exactly what you said. If we're talking about next year, there's going to be a quarterback change for sure. So, I mean, going through the rest of the games, Philly, Pitt, Dallas, bye, Minnesota, that starts the playoff run. Minnesota, Chargers, Giants, and Chargers and Giants both have good pass defenses. So, probably not. Probably not. You if it's a back half first and second, that means you're probably already a playoff team. I'd probably just take my chances with what I got, hope my team catches fire, and have my picks as well. I don't necessarily know if Pittman does enough for you come playoff time.
He doesn't
to warrant that.
Not with that schedule.
I'm I'm on the opposite side of this than you guys. I'm doing it. I don't think you need to throw in a second though. I think a first gets it done. I mean, he's wide receiver 16 right now, playing with Sam Ellinger in an anemic offense in PPR. He's better than any rookie wide receiver aside from maybe Quentin Johnson and TCU coming out. So I think if you're going receiver in the draft, he's better than anybody there in the 23 draft class. I like Michael Pittman. I think he's a super talent. We all did to start the season. He's had some quarterback troubles. He's in his third year. So going into his fourth, that's when receivers are starting to negotiate contracts. I'm taking a chance on Pittman. The talent's there, boys. Wide receiver 16 in his situation, that impresses me.
He's been wide receiver 16, but he's done it off the back of 2 good games and then just a slew of average. And this is with Jonathan Taylor being completely useless. I don't know. I mean, you look at it. You look at Jonathan Taylor finally being Matt Ryan coming back in, Jonathan Taylor doing good, and he puts up 11 points. You know what I mean? Like he's a wide receiver 16 off the back of 2 almost 30-point games, and then it's just a lot of just meh. A lot of meh with Jonathan Taylor. If Jonathan Taylor's playing poorly, I expect my wide receivers to be putting up more outside of meh.
And he's only got 1 touchdown so far on the year. So, I mean.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's due for regression, positive regression on that side. I mean, he's getting almost 10 targets a game. We joke about volume on the podcast a lot, but the reality is if a guy's getting targeted 10 times a game, he's a wide receiver 1, I'm going to take a shot on that guy. I think he's worth the first.
That's fair. Like, it's like I said, it's all about planting the flag and which side you're on. I tend to probably side on Wayne's side for that one, just for this stretch run.
Understand. Cannon fire. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Wayne.
I'm looking at the ranks, and here's kind of how I'm breaking this down. He has had a wide receiver 5 week against the Texans, a wide receiver 5 week against the Jags, and then his best finish is wide receiver 27. Wide receiver 27 for the other 10 weeks. 9 weeks. He missed week 2.
So, yeah, he hasn't been a wide receiver 1.
He's been a wide receiver 1 twice. And then he's been a wide receiver 3 or worse the rest of the year. I just can't trust that. I can't trust it. I can't trust it going into the playoffs. I can't trust it going into the future, especially, and it makes me way more scared because, like you said, he's getting the volume, but he's not outputting. He's not moving that into fantasy relevance, and that's terrifying me because, like, if you got a player, we got crappy passing offense, just the offense sucking in general, and he's they're not running a lot of plays, and that's why he doesn't have points. Okay, let's get the offense fixed. Jonathan Taylor maybe can prolong some drives. People will respect the pass more. But the fact that he's getting these targets and he's getting this volume and it's not because his snap shares through the roof and it's just not transitioning into fantasy value, that scares me more than anything. But I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I could go and he said, I think that's pretty touchdown dependent, touchdown related. The offense has been anemic. I mean, it has been. To me, he just like ETN was, a few weeks ago. This is a buy low guy that in leagues that I'm in favor of going to forget.
No, yeah, I agree. He is buy low, but a little too much, a little too rich for my blood.
I understand. Cannon fire, 12-team super flex PPR. Wayne, this is a good one. I'm going to go slow. Justin Fields, Saquon, and Amon-Ra 4. I don't know. Actually, I don't know who he's got. So that's side A, okay? Side A is Fields, Saquon, and Amon-Ra. Side B, Olave, Drake London, an early top 3 1, and an early 23 second. Fields, Saquon, and Amon-Ra for Olave, London, a top 3-1 and a top 3-2. Superflex, PPR.
Give me Fields, Saquon, and Amon-Ra. Saquon, we've talked about it before. He doesn't have a lot of mileage. He hasn't played a lot. He's playing at an extremely high level right now. There's no reason why, if he stays healthy, he can't be relevant up until 2029-ish due to the fact that he's missed 2.5 years worth of football almost. Justin Fields playing out of his mind. They're using him how he's meant to be used. He's not a pocket passer, and it took them over half the season to figure it out. They finally realized he's better on the run, so that's what they're doing. They're moving the pocket. They're moving him around, a lot more motion, and he's been quarterback 1 over the past 2 weeks. With that, they've traded for a wide receiver, so they're seeing more out of Justin Fields enough to go get a wide receiver, go get him a weapon. Cole Kmet, he's come out, and he's been great. I think Justin Fields they've got him in a better situation to pass, which is making his rushing even better. And I think Justin Fields can be successful for a long time as long as the Bears don't start to hold him back. I think that they got a lot of good offense around him, and they can start fixing other smaller pieces, and his situation can only get better. And then Amon-Ra, young guy, stud. They're probably going to get better from the quarterback position. They'll probably draft somebody. And then T.J. Hawkinson is gone. He scored 22 points this past week. It's more for him. I think Jameson Williams helps. I don't think when he comes, it's going to eat into him. I think it's just going to free him up a little bit more. And that's kind of where I'm with that side. I would rather have that side. If I knew I could get like Bijan Robinson with that first round top 3 pick, then that would definitely sway me. But if you don't have the number 1, then you're probably not getting them. And I'm out.
Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to start this off by saying, it's a classic. If you're competing now, side A, if you're trying to rebuild side B, but side A has young players in it, man. Justin Fields and Amon-Ra are just young stars in the making right now. At least Justin Fields, we still have to wait on it. He's going through a hot streak, so I won't say he's necessarily there yet. Saquon's playing some of the best football of his career. He definitely looks revitalized and juiced and everything, and he's looking like he's probably going to get an extension from the Giants after this year. So if he does, he'll be staying in an offense. I think he's got a couple more years of really good football to play. He looks phenomenal. So going to the other side of it, I mean, Olave and London, of course, they're young stud wide receivers. We're not really seeing what we want to out of London because of the passing game. Maybe they fix that next year. Maybe they don't. We're going to either bring in another quarterback or we're going to give Desmond Ridder a chance, but we probably won't see Ridder, this year. And we've talked about this on the podcast plenty of times, man. It's just that division is kind of weak right now, and they're in the playoff hunt. They're in the playoff hunt at 4-5 or 4-6 right now. So there's not really a reason to come off of Mariota to see what Ridder can give you. So with that being said, especially in a super flex, man, if you take that side for your first pick, you're going to probably be going a quarterback. Bijan probably won't be there, like Wayne said, unless you have a top 2 pick. But essentially, you're going to be trying to draft a guy if you are going quarterback that's like Justin Fields is producing right now.
Yeah, and in a super flex, the first side is giving up a quarterback. You almost have to go. You almost have to draft a quarterback. You almost have to use your first round pick to replace him. And do we know that Desmond Ridder's even showing him anything? Because, you're like, they're still in the hunt. It's no thanks to Marcus Mariota. He's been playing like crap. Marcus Mariota knows what he's there for. He's there to fill a spot for the time being. He knows that he is not their solution. And that's just, there's guys in their career, the Ryan Fitzpatricks, the Case Keenums of the world, they know their point. They know their purpose in the NFL. And if Desmond Ridder was showing anything, I think they would have given him a shot by now because you're right. They're 4-6 now, and it's like, or 4-5. I don't remember exactly. Like, what are they really? Marcus. It's not like Marcus Mariota's balling out to keep him in these games. Like, I feel like if Desmond Ridder was. I'm just saying this because I feel like Desmond Ridder is not going to be their answer, and they're going to be in quarterback limbo going forward. Unless Desmond Ridder makes a nice jump in the offseason, but.
And you got to wait for that guy to develop. If you do draft a quarterback, few guys come out that are, fantasy relevant right away. So you're going to have to wait for the guy to develop. It's like anything else. A franchise drafts a quarterback in hopes that they're going to be the guy. You're doing the same thing with your fantasy team. So I'm on side A. I'm on side A.
It's like it's not like Desmond Ridder's learning behind Aaron Rodgers or anybody. Like, he's behind Marcus Mariota.
What do you have to say on it, Beggs?
Well, you all know I love Drake London. I have him in every dynasty league I'm in. I've sold the farm for him.
You love Arthur Smith too.
Man, that scab. He's got like the third or second highest target share of any player in the NFL. He's super involved. Obviously, Chris Olave is a stud, but I'll be honest with you. Even if it's Bijan, I'm taking side A. Bijan is supposed to be the next Saquon. I'll go ahead and take Saquon. I'll take the sure thing. We don't know what Bijan. We don't know his situation. He could be the next Najee Harris, for all we know, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Could be.
So I'm going to take Fields. I'm not a huge Fields guy long term. The Wildcat offense isn't. I don't think it's sustainable. But ride the wave while you can, brother. Yeah, I'm taking side A. This one was pretty easy for me, even as a Drake London lover. Good call, Wayne. I liked your explanation. You too, Goni. Randall Thor, 12-team Superflex PPR. Wangeman, 23 late first, and Rashad White. For Pittman, he's competing and needs a wide receiver. Still too rich?
Yes. Pittman is not going to be that guy that puts you over the top. If you're, unless you have like absolute turds in your flex spot or in your WR2 spot, and he is definitely, because he's got a clear floor of about 9 points. If you've got like DJ Moore that you're rolling with there, it breaks my heart to say it, or somebody of that caliber, like a Darnell Mooney,
like
somebody
Alan
that's
Lazard.
getting like, somebody that's getting you like their ceiling's 12, like you're happy with double digits, and you know that you're a top 3 team, and that extra 5-6 points is going to make a difference for you. Then yeah, go out and get Pittman. I don't think he's. And I'm not gonna. I've already given my argument on Pittman this podcast, so I'm not gonna go into it again. I don't think he's a real team changer, so I wouldn't do it. I'd keep my pick.
Yeah, I think it's going. I don't know about you. I think this is a little too rich. The second was pushing it for me. I think a late first for Pittman gets it done without Rashad White.
If you want Pittman, yeah, probably. This is a perfect buy low opportunity, so it's a plant your flag moment. I'm on the same side though. We talked about Pittman and everything already. So,
yep.
I agree with you though. I mean, there's no way I'm. Begley's right. There's no way I'm adding to a first for Pittman right now.
I agree. Edwin 1540, Brandon Ayuk and Cole Kmet for Hollywood.
Ooh,
man,
Brandon Ayuk is the lightning rod of the
balling
football podcast.
Balling.
He's the lightning rod. Wayne hates him. I loved him officially on record. So far, I've been right, but he will start.
Well, if you recall later, Brandon Ayuk weaseled his way into my DFS lineup a couple times, twice, I believe.
Yeah, that is true. I gotta give credit where it's due. He made the adjustment. Do you guys do it? It's PPR, Superflex.
Ayuk and Kmet for who? Hollywood.
I don't do that.
I don't do it either. I don't do it either. As a Debo Samuel owner, I am very disappointed with him so far this year, and it just seems like Ayuk is getting the volume. He's looking like a first-round receiver that he was drafted to be, and just the offense is clicking right now, man. They one of the most studly offensive pieces, in the league as a whole unit on offense. So Ayuk, commit.
Here's the thing. While Wayne takes his patented pause, with Lance, Ayuk does take a step back. I think he's going to, right? Kittle's having a really down year by Kittle standards in terms of in the receiving game. That's helping Ayuk. I think there's some regression coming. What do you think, Wayne?
I'm taking Hollywood. I'm taking Hollywood. D-Hop has next year in him before I think he starts falling to the wayside a little bit. And we saw what Hollywood did when he was the number one in Arizona. He was very good when he was the number one. And that's probably in the future for him. Kyler Murray is going to be the quarterback in Arizona there for a while. Hollywood signed a contract, so he's going to have those times there. And then you look at San Francisco, and they're just covered in offensive weapons. I'm just not entirely sure that Ayuk is going to get washed out like he has been in years prior. And we all know that I absolutely loathe Trey Lance under center. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is his best shot at being relevant, and they're going to take him away for Trey Lance again. Long term, I think Hollywood's trending up starting next year, and I think Ayuk is going to be trending down.
Okay, so there you have it. 2-0. Wayne is yes on that. Did he say anything to make you change your mind, or are you still sticking with Ayuk and commit?
I'll stick with Ayuk still. I mean, they have so many good pieces, and they're all under contract still. Shanahan's an offensive mastermind. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to keep the ball out of Trey Lance's hands for, the majority of they're not going to ask Trey Lance to win games. So I think that the offense will be set up to make, these easy throws that, he's going to be able to come up with. And he's an explosive athlete. Debo is as well. So, I mean, this will be just patented yards after catch type stuff going on. And Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet doesn't do anything for you. Tight end 2 weeks ago. Tight end 1 this week.
No.
Flash in the pan. All right. These next two questions I personally think are very interesting. This first one in particular, Donald Clump says, would you give a third for Darren Waller?
Yes.
Why?
Because a third is nothing. Third is nothing in Dynasty, and you have a top 10 potential guy. I know Darren Waller hasn't shown anything, but it's a low risk, high reward play, honestly.
Okay. Wayne?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very, very little fantasy value comes out of the third round in a rookie draft. Very little fantasy
value. Barely
value.
rosterable.
It's literally if you get a good guy out of the third round, don't try and pretend like you're some college football NFL guru. Like you just got lucky. You found that guy, and you just got lucky. It's that simple. If you're unless you're Matthew Berry, you're and you're the average Joe. I'm sorry, but you're not finding that dude in the third round.
I'm going to ask you guys a question. Is Darren Waller the number one candidate for the guy that's in your lineup? You feel like you should play him, but you regret it every time you do? Is there any other player like that?
George Kittle's flirting with it.
He's this year's Evan Ingram. It's the Evan Ingram Award.
Okay. Yeah.
George Kittle's the same way, though. He's trending dangerously into that territory, man.
At the end of the day, if you don't have Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, who cares? It's Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and not even really Mark Andrews lately. It's been Travis Kelce and Cole Kmet the past 2 weeks, and outside of that, who cares?
And Waller at least has like the ability to put up a 20-point game, which not a lot of tight ends do. So
it's just been that offense in general.
They're terrible.
It's been real bad.
Yeah, do not recommend ever placing a bet on the Raiders offense. Coach Ram, 10-team Superflex, half PPR. I think this one's interesting. Brian Robinson or Elijah Moore?
Brian Robinson all day.
Brian
every day,
Robinson.
times 2.
Yeah. Easy.
What's
Easy
interesting
money.
about that? Just because Elijah Moore's your boy?
He wants Elijah Moore to be good so bad. So
He ain't, man.
bad.
He's not good.
If Wayne can recognize that DJ Moore is just not playing very well this year, you have to recognize that Elijah Moore is probably not going to get it done this year either.
While I do want Elijah Moore to get good, you guys fell right into that bear trap. That question isn't interesting at all. You're taking Brian Robinson 100 times out of 100, man. He's getting 20 carries a game. That's a no-brainer. I suck at 3D printing. Says he's contending.
God, that was a really specific user.
That was a great
How do you
name.
suck
That's
at
great
3D
name.
printing? I've never 3D printed anything, but I thought you just plugged in a USB device and like the printer did it, right? Or is he using one of those like 3D pins and he's like trying to draw?
Clearly, he had a really bad experience. I mean,
Get back with us, man. Explain that username.
late 23-1, Claypool and Nico Collins for George Pickens and Rashad White.
Why all the love for Rashad White, man? I know,
People are afraid of missing the boat, man. I'm sure we'll run across some Tony questions as well.
So a late one, Claypool and who?
Nico Collins.
Man, that is terrible.
I'm taking George
Nico's
Pickens,
okay.
Rashad White. Just off because I think George Pickens is going to be a stud. If they get any sort of quarterback talent, if they can develop Kenny Pickett, whatever, George Pickens. Look at the Steelers, man. The Steelers, they always have fantasy relevance at the receiver position. George Pickens is going to be that. Rashad White, he's going to give you 10 points a game when Fournette leaves or now, whatever. I mean, he's not the one that makes this deal. I'm just looking at it like, who can I get late in the first? Nobody of George Pickens' status. Chase Claypool is now somehow the Bears have saturated the receiving game with St. Brown, Mooney, and Claypool now with Cole Kmet playing good. There's just not that heavy of a passing attack to give any sort of fantasy relevance to Claypool right now. And Nico Collins, yeah. Give me George Pickens, Rashad White.
I'm on that side too, and it's just for Pickens. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm essentially looking at it like you're trading away your late round first for George Pickens, and then
yeah, you're right.
that's really what it is. Nico Collins, I don't love, and Claypool, I don't love either. So, honestly, I disagree with Wayne on it. I think you're taking a loss on Rashad White because the second Tom Brady leaves to go to San Francisco or wherever he goes next year, whether it be home even. That team's gonna suck. Everyone on it's gonna suck, except Mike Evans. He'll still break 1,000 yards.
I'm on the opposite side of you on this one again. I like my late one, and I like Nico Collins. I'm with Goni Wayne. I believed you over the last few weeks when you said stay away from Rashad White. The Bucs will just draft a wide receiver to replace him next year. I believe you. So to me, this is Pickens for one and Nico Collins. Nico Collins has played really well. He's got double digits 3 of the last 4 games. He's only 23. I mean, the Houston's just a horrible team, but he's 6'4", 215. Brandon Cooks is probably gone. And I don't like Pickens. I'll take Jordan Addison if you're going receiver in the draft. Keyshawn Butte out of LSU. I like those guys just as much as George Pickens. So I'm going to take the one in Nico here. That's me. Claypool's just, whatever. Hawks 131. Wow. Give up DK and receive Tony, Hollywood Brown in a second.
Nah.
No, he's trying to sell Tony high. At the end of the day, that's Juju's the number one there receiving. Travis Kelce's the number one offense. And we've said it week in and week out that is a very saturated receiving room. I don't look for Tony to do what he did this past week often at all.
Yep, totally agree. DK is the better talent. Rinaldi 363. Should he trade Najee for Chubb?
No. unless he's competing right now, unless he's trying to get his championship right now. If he's
So let's get both scenarios, Wayne. If he's contending, yes. If he's not, no.
right,
Okay. Goni, are you on board with that?
Yeah, 100%. Nick Chubb leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns right now. He's a stud. I think Najee gets better next year, so that's where I'm at. If Nick Chubb's that piece that puts you over the top, I would do it. If not, then Najee Harris is who I'm staying with.
we need to get some Mad Mob gear that just big shirts that say "Go get your ring."
Man, facts.
On top of that, like Kareem Hunt hasn't been playing great. He really hasn't. He's only got double-digit fantasy points three times this year total. His best game was week 1, and outside of that, he's been pretty much in single digits or like 11 points. So it's not like Kareem Hunt is cutting into it as much as he has in years past. So, again, if you're looking at your team and you just need that piece, go get your ring. But if you ain't competing, stick with your youth.
We need to have that ring on that shirt circled in like a rust belt.
A lot of inside jokes we can put on there.
Also, if you followed the podcast from day one, Wayne will have told you, stay away from Najee. I hope you listened. Donald Clump 3. Again, actually, second time. Mixon or Ramondre in a win now?
Oh, this is a good one.
Man. Because the snap answer should be Mixon.
It should be. It absolutely should be.
Is Damian Harris done? That's the question.
Yeah.
Like, is he not going to play anymore?
I mean, I know you're probably thinking, like, Mixon. I mean, people forget because we have short-term memory as fantasy owners. Mixon's coming off a bye. This man dropped 55 in week 9.
Yes.
55.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what buoyed him up to be the running back 7 right now. But Ramondre is the RB10. If you're really, I'm looking at the matchups. If you want to win now, Ramondre is your guy. It's kind of the tale of, there's just, all right, look at it. So Ramondre, they both have tough stretches. Ramondre is about to come into his. He's got the Jets, Minnesota, and Buffalo, which are all top rush defenses. But he's got Arizona after that. Week 15 starts the fantasy playoffs. You've got Las Vegas, which is a cupcake matchup. You've got Cincinnati, who's middle of the pack. And then in the Super Bowl, you have Miami, who's not very good in the rushing category, or rush defense, rather. We go over to Mixon. He's got Pitt, Tennessee, which are both kind of rough. Then KC, Cleveland, which are pretty easy for the most part. And then your playoff run has to be one of the worst in the entire league going forward. You have Tampa Bay in round 1. You have New England in round 2. You have Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
Not to mention his 55-point week. It was their first complete week without Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase will be back this year at some point, and he'll eat into that. You look at Joe Mixon, and if you look at his game log, he's Mr. Consistent. He's around that 15-point range. Ramondre,
that's how you go ahead. Sorry, Wayne.
No, you're fine. Ramondre is also in that area, maybe even a little bit on the higher end. But like Goni said, when the matchups matter, I'm going with Ramondre.
That's how you use stats and facts to come to a reasonable conclusion. Mad Mob, we're going with Ramondre there, and you're hoping the Patriots allow him to be the RB next year as well.
And we have already let you know that it's going to be more in Joe Mixon's favor over the next couple weeks. So don't be salty if you make the trade. But when the playoffs come and Joe Mixon's underperforming and Ramondre's killing it, hey, we want that energy. We want that same energy.
Yep.
Facts. C. Cafarata, 473. 10-team, 0.75 point PPR. Somebody's just trying to be a hipster, bro.
It's annoying, man. It's annoying.
0.75 PPR. It's a 2-quarterback league. Blaine, I'm going to default to you on this. Cousins, Dotson, Javonta, and a back half one for Miles Sanders. It says Sanders. Miles is the only one I can think of note. Cole
Jason
Kmet,
Sanders. kicker for the Dolphins, highly touted.
Miles Sanders, Cole Kmet, and their 101.
Oh.
Is this 10 or 12 team?
10.
Kirk Cousins.
Jahan Dotson, Javonta Williams, back half first for 101, Kmet, and Miles Sanders.
Nah. At least for me, nah.
So, before you say nah, his running back room is one of the worst I've ever seen in a 10-team. Algier, Leonard Fournette, James Robinson, and James Conner.
More incentive for nah. He's trading away Javonte Williams, right?
I'd rather have Bijan. He's got Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson quarterback. So Cousins is expendable. If that changes your mind, go.
It does. It absolutely does, because then you don't have to draft a quarterback.
So really, it comes down to Javonta, Dotson, and a back half one for Bijan and Cole Kmet, or Miles Sanders, whatever you guys think he is.
I'm doing it. I'm taking Bijan and Miles Sanders.
Man, I just don't like that he's given up his one also. I think that just puts it a little over the top for me. But, I mean...
But he doesn't... He can actually use his draft pick in a super flex for a running back. He doesn't have to replace Kirk Cousins. If he had to replace Kirk Cousins and go and get a quarterback, then it was pointless. But the fact that he still has 3, because if you got 3, you're good. I mean, you got your starting 2, you got an injury backup, you got a bye week fill in. You're sitting okay. So you can use your draft pick for Bijan Robinson. I mean, it's that simple.
Going to answer your question is does Cousins, Jahan Dotson, and Javonta get the deal done without the 1? I don't think so. I think he has to get the 101.
Who else is he getting? Miles Sanders and who?
Cole Kmet.
I'd probably just cut out Miles Sanders.
Even with his running back room?
I mean,
Fournette and James Conner look toast.
Yeah, no, they are pretty bad. It's just rough. It just feels like a lot. That's all, man. But I mean, I understand the logic for, you don't need Kirk Cousins, so he's extremely expendable.
Dotson in a 10 team probably doesn't play much, if at all.
No, not even in a good matchup.
So really, it's Javonte Williams and say the 106. Well, I'll say 107 for Miles Sanders, Kmet in the 101. I'm snapping that every time. I think.
I'm with you on this one, Begley.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. It's just you have to hope that Bijan lands in a favorable position and this and that. So I mean, I don't hate it.
I'd like to see him at Arizona personally. Be a beautiful landing spot. Quell Mantin, Goni, rank these 3 tight ends. Trey McBride, Cade Otton, and Daniel Bellinger. Trey McBride, Cade Otton, and Daniel Bellinger.
From a dynasty perspective?
Yeah.
Yes. Just Trey dynasty McBride, rank them.
Cade Otton and Daniel Bellinger. The way I'm looking at it, well, I mean, we have problems here just because Daniel Bellinger is going to be wearing an eye patch for the rest of his life. So, I mean, he would be my go-to number 1. They've got him involved, this season. I think he's a very good talent. I'd rank him number 1. I would probably go Cade Otton number 2. He's been great when he's been out there, honestly. He's been very, very good. And then Trey McBride would be last for me just because you still have Zach Ertz there. I'm not exactly sure what his contract situation looks like. But just he hasn't got as much PT, playing time and all that. snap share, not very much. He's been overshadowed by Zach Ertz. So I feel like, for a little while, at least a whole nother year of even him just playing full time, it's usually a very slow startup for young tight ends. So that's how I would go with it.
If Zach Ertz is gone next year, does that change your rankings?
Probably not, honestly, because you're getting Hollywood Brown back. We're seeing, of course we have to see how the rest of the year plays out. The next couple games will actually be a pretty good indicator with Hollywood out and seeing how involved McBride is going to be in the offense, with D-Hop there. But D-Hop will be back next year. You're getting Hollywood back. They traded for Robbie Anderson. It's just a lot of mouths to feed. The offense for the Cardinals hasn't been good at all this year. So it's just too many variables that put it in a negative light for me for Trey McBride being, any good.
Okay. Wayne?
Daniel Bellinger one, I think, is pretty unanimous. Sure. I gotta go K. Dotton 2 because K. Dotton has kind of worked his way up through the ranks to earn his playing time. And I'm not saying Cameron Braid is not in the same conversation as Zach Ertz. And I'm saying that it's easier to overtake Cameron Braid than Trey McBride to overtake Zach Ertz. But Trey McBride hasn't even really been seeing the field. He saw the field with Zach Ertz injury, and if there's anything a tight end should be, it's your absolute safety valve. It is your go-to guy when you need 5 yards of the most sure-handed Caucasian guy around. And Trey McBride, dude, got one catch and fumbled it. You cannot, if you're a tight end, you need to be the safety valve. If the ball's in your hands, that's a bear trap. So that showed that's just not a good look to finally get your first pass. It's first catch since week 4, and you fumble it. Hey, don't get me wrong. Could be a little ring rust. But the fact of the matter is, man, you catch balls for a living, do a little blocking. You can't. The fact that you're fumbling your first catch, it's not a good look, and that's what's putting him down to that 3rd spot for me.
I think Bellinger's the far and away number 1. I think there's a pretty big gap between him and Ott. Because
I agree.
When Tom leaves, we're a little worried. Dollar Bill 009. It's a 10 team. It's a PPR. He's ready to make a playoff push. Get that ring. He lost Zach Ertz for the season. He has to start 4 or 5 wide receivers every week. He's considering DJ Moore and a 23-1 for Mike Evans and TJ Hawkinson. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Is he making a playoff push, or is he going to get the ring?
His exact words were, looking to solidify my wide receiver group for a playoff push.
Yeah. Well, if he's solidifying his wide receiver group, I mean, yeah. Honestly, I'd probably do it. Mike Evans is an upgrade regardless over DJ Moore. And TJ Hawkinson he's the tight end 5 right now. I mean, he's not putting up massive numbers. He had that one pretty much 40-point week all the way back in week 4. But, I mean, his last couple weeks, 11, 16, and 11.5 in PPR formats. That was good for the tight end 11, tight end 5, and tight end 7. And I believe the last two weeks were with Minnesota, his new team. So, I mean, that kind of helps you. You're not just taking a 5 or 6 in your tight end spot every week from just, a guy. So if he goes on a run also, I mean, he could be a trade piece for you next year when you get Zach Ertz back or, however you want to do that. I like it. I would do that as an over-the-top move. It's not as over-the-top as I would prefer, but if it upgrades your team and you're trying to make the playoff push, I'm down with that.
Goni rule it. slot Mike Evans and Hawk into your team, and if it puts you as an undisputed top 3 team, go for it. If you slot Evans and Hawk in, and you're still like, I'm still 5-6, then don't mortgage your future on it. That's kind of where I'm at, because Mike Evans and Hawk are not long-term solutions. I think DJ Moore is still young. If they can do anything with that quarterback situation, he will be better. And your first rounder, it's a deep first round class. And if you're a fringe playoff team, you're looking at a middle of the pack. You're looking at a top tier receiver coming out of the draft if you've got the 6th, 7th pick. So yeah, Goni, rule it. If with Mike Evans and Hawk you're a top 3 team, do it. If you're not, don't do it. Don't mortgage your future, in my opinion.
Man, this one's hard for me. Mike Evans over DJ Moore probably gets you into the playoffs, but
no doubt,
Mike Evans is probably a very depreciating asset next year, right? I mean, you're basically renting him for a year. That's hard for me. Is there any value?
He's renting him for a playoff push.
I know, but if he's on the outside looking in right now, is the 1 year Mike Evans rental enough? I don't know, man. I just feel like there's other players I might target. Like, why not try to get Devonta?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the roster construction. What else he's got looking in there. Does he provide that or no?
No.
Okay, it would have been a lot easier to give a more surefire answer, but yeah. So you're top 3, top 4, maybe. And this, like Wayne said, you plug these guys into your roster, a starting lineup. If you look at your team and you're like, that's a good team right there, and you feel good about it, then yeah, go for it. But if you're looking at it and you still feel just not very confident, then don't mortgage the future.
Can I bounce something off of y'all?
Sure.
I wish he had like a. I wish he'd told us who his tight end was.
It was Ertz.
Okay, so who's he got in there now?
We don't know.
Because I'm thinking like instead of worrying about the tight end spot, maybe just going and getting like Mike Evans and another receiver. Because if he's got to start 5 receivers, chances are he's got a guy in there that's getting him like 2 points a week. So if he can turn like DJ Moore in his first into like, and again, this is super deep league, so don't make fun of me for saying this. It can turn DJ in a first into like a Mike Evans and like a Curtis Samuel or Jacoby Myers. I think he would benefit more in a league where you have to start 5 receivers. Because that's a lot of receivers. If that's what is it, a 10 team?
Yes.
That's 50 receivers that's got to be started.
Yeah. It's good math.
You know what I mean? So like if you can go out and you can get a WR1 and a good WR3 to slot into your team, which should already have a WR1 and a WR2, maybe you can get more value that way as opposed to it all comes down to what gets you more points. Going from Hawk from whatever you had and Mike Evans from DJ Moore to Mike Evans, or you know what I mean, going DJ Moore to Mike Evans and whatever turd you got starting in your 5 to a Curtis Samuel or to a Jacoby Myers. It's just a numbers game. You got to do the math.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm worried about your receiving core getting kind of left out in the cold with Mike. Chad Logan's non-super flex. Gone. He's got Russell Wilson, Dak, and Trey Lance. He really wants to get rid of one of them. He doesn't have any hope this year to win it. Should he trade Dak for Calvin Ridley?
Man. Oh. Why does it have to be Calvin Ridley?
Why does it have to be Dak?
I want to know all your thoughts. Give me all your thoughts. Dak's probably he's the most attractive right now, so he's probably the most tradable.
Yeah,
but Calvin Ridley's not.
Which leans more to Goni's point of view.
Sure.
Like, it's just Calvin Ridley, man. He's the biggest question mark ever going next year. I don't know, man. Why Calvin Ridley? Why not a guy that you can play, or a guy with youth? Just anything of the sort.
Who would you trade Dak for in a 1 QB league, non-super flex? Who are you trading Dak for?
Better than
Deontay
Calvin
Johnson?
Ridley.
Is that too much?
Someone better than Calvin Ridley. I would take Jacoby Myers from Wayne's last trade just because he's a PPR machine. I would trade him for
Deontay Johnson.
Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard is just another guy, dude. I mean, he's all they got. Well, if we're talking about the future, that Alan Lazard's more of like a this year. So like Jacoby Myers is there to stay for a while. He's young. He's good. If you can get, one of these younger wide receivers that are out right now, like maybe a Jahan Dotson or something of the sort there. You're not going to get an Olave right now. I understand that. I doubt you're going to get a London unless you add a piece on.
Gary Wilson?
Probably not.
Wayne, would you trade Dak for Brandon Ayuk?
I don't think so. But that is very close. I just think Ayuk is a depreciating asset.
Gone, would you do it for Ayuk?
Probably not. I would look for something elsewhere also.
Okay. So what we're saying is, if you're going to trade Dak, get something better than Calvin. But why are you trading Dak, bro?
I'd get Jerry Jeudy actually right now while he's hurt if I could. I would try and go for him and buy him on the cheap.
That's a good name.
With Dak.
That's a good name. Wayne, do you agree with that?
Yep, I like it. Because you got to think, Calvin Ridley. Ring rust.
He's golf message account. 10-team PPR. He's generally not competing right now. He wants to trade away Lockett and get Foreman and what? He wants to know what the value is for Tyler Lockett right now, and he wants to get Deonta Foreman. I don't know why, but he does.
I don't know why either.
You're not competing, bro. Why are you getting Deonta Foreman?
That's my thing. I mean, Foreman is not young by any means. So
he clarified here and said he's just trying to sneak into the playoffs to avoid a chance at a punishment.
Oh God.
I don't know what that means, bro, but first of all, man, get out of that league. Start playing with grown men. Punishments for fantasy football is dumb. But don't trade for Deonta Foreman, right, Wayne? Right, going?
I mean, all right, so now that he says that, and he's trying to get out of a punishment, like sitting in a Waffle House for 24 hours or something like that.
The only reason Begley hates punishments is because he would have been punished many a times. I would have loved it because I don't think I would have ever been punished in my fantasy
Waffle House
career.
for a week straight, bro. Like a week straight this year.
Put it on my punishment tab.
You're gambling on grown men to do something in a game. No, it's stupid.
Waffles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a straight week. All right, so the question that you have to ask yourself here, now that we got all the logic out of the way, as far as like you're trading an old guy and Tyler Lockett for an old guy at the running back position, and you're strictly going for it just for the punishment's sake, who's going to score you more points right now? Tyler Lockett for the rest of the season or Deonta Foreman? So, I mean, looking at it, Lockett's got Las Vegas, the Rams, Carolina, San Fran, KC, and the Jets, which isn't that bad coming up. He's currently the wide receiver 10. Geno Smith has stayed balling. And Deonta Foreman's got Baltimore, gross. Denver, gross. Then he's got Seattle, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa Bay. So, I mean, Seattle and Detroit look kind of spicy. But, I mean, those four other matchups are not very good. Personally, I mean, is it PPR? Did you say PPR?
Didn't say.
Oh man. If it's,
I don't think this matters. I mean, we are really rubbing pennies together here.
It matters to him, bro. It's got a
let's
punishment.
just save the man a punishment here. I'm gonna say keep Lockett unless you're gonna get Foreman and another piece that actually helps your team. It doesn't help you to get, bench fodder, the guy that's just gonna sit there or hurt your team when you play him.
Hey,
What about if it's Donovan Peoples-Jones and Foreman? Reading down a little bit, Donovan Peoples-Jones is on the table with Foreman. He's been playing well.
But is Donovan Peoples-Jones an every week start?
Is this a redraft league?
No, Dynasty.
We need to start a new segment where we just take people under the Mad Mob wing. This guy, who is it? What's this guy's username?
Golf message account.
Golf message account. Like not Jared Goff, like Tiger Woods golf.
Correct.
Golf message account. Golf message account. Link up with us in the off season, man. Link up with us in the off season. Let us help you with your rookie draft. Let us help you with some waiver wire moves. We're gonna have a few. I want to have a few project listeners where we take the guys that are just perpetually doing bad in their leagues, and we guide. I don't want to say hold their hand, but we guide them to fantasy relevance in their league. To answer your question, I'm sticking with Tyler Lockett here. Golf message account. Link up with us. Get with Begley in the Reddit direct messages. Get with us in our email. This guy's going to be project number one. This guy's going to be project number one. We're going to make him fantasy relevant in his dynasty league this year. You're project number one. If you're perpetually irrelevant in your league, give us a message. Because how many do y'all think we can handle? 5 to 10?
Sure.
Yeah, at least. I mean, I handle 8 leagues a week and everything. We can each handle, some. So
we'll take. Okay, how about this for year one? Because we got to get our top 200 rankings out for next year, and we don't have a template to go off of that right now. Let's take 15 projects. The first 15 people that get in contact with Begley on Reddit. There are projects.
Shout out the Reddit name they can hit up.
Mad FF Podcast. Mad_FF_podcast.
Or hit us up at Gmail at madffpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. Get a hold of us. Get a hold of us.
We'll do an episode. We'll either do a segment each week when the season starts, or we'll, depending on how many we get. If we fill the full 15 to 20, we'll make an episode just updating everybody on how our projects are going.
I kind of like that. I mean, impromptu giveaways.
Who wants to suck? Who wants to suck in fantasy? You've got 3 guys, just decades worth of fantasy knowledge that just want you to be fantasy relevant.
I like it, man.
Podcast for the people. Podcast for the people. That's our motto.
We're going to help turn around your fantasy team if you've just been in the cellar for years and years and years. Get with us. The off season, we're going to get out rankings this year. We're going to get out all kinds of stuff. Stick with us, for the podcasts. If you're in a startup for Dynasty or Redraft and, you just want a fresh start, this is the year. We're going to get you into the playoffs.
Facts.
We're going to get you. If it's a fresh league, we're getting you into the playoffs. I promise you that. So you have my Goni guarantee on that. Wow. On a fresh,
it's a $200 value.
What's that?
It's a $200 value, Go. You're just throwing it out there like that. Wow.
Yeah, split between the 3 of us. So it's great for sure. If you are freshly redrafting Dynasty or redraft next year, and you want in on this, we will get you into the playoffs. I promise. If you are in a Dynasty and you're perpetually in the cellar, we're going to turn you around. We have to see how bad the team is, but we're going to get you more wins than you got this year. And we're going to get you there to the playoffs as well, man. Maybe not next year, but the year after. We're going to improve your team drastically.
The team, and it's going to happen. And I think we're done taking questions now, so we're just kind of spitballing. Am I wrong there?
I had a couple more, but if you want to shut it down, we can.
We'll shut it down. We're on an hour. We're over an hour
Okay.
now. But you're looking at. I'm a drafting expert. If it's a startup, or if you got a rookie draft, I got you. Goni is just a waiver wire genie. He's done some magical things. Begley took over an orphan dynasty team and in one season made it a playoff team.
Last place. He had the first overall pick in his draft, and he absolutely turned it into one of the juggernauts of the league.
Via trades. He just made trade after trade after trade and made himself – he dealt with some injuries this year, which have kind of put him back into still a playoff team. But he had the worst team in our dynasty, and in one season brought it to the playoffs, one of the top teams. What we're saying is we ain't bluffing. We ain't bluffing, Mad Mob. We're gonna try. We'll get you there. First 20 people, send us your rosters, email it to us, or get with Begley on Reddit or anywhere. Message us on Twitter, wherever you want. And we got you. We got you this offseason, and we'll make a segment of it coming in to next year.
You know, I kind of got some inspiration. What if I made a post, kind of, you know how gamers do VOD reviews of other people's gameplay? Let's see if I can get some people to send us screenshots of their fantasy team. We'll have a good old-fashioned time kind of reviewing it, maybe telling them some moves they need to make, things they need to do to improve. What do you guys think about that?
That's it. But and I think we should definitely do that. But if you want to be a project, we're gonna be balls deep in your league. We want to know everything. We want to know everybody. We want to know all the scoring. We want to know everybody else's roster in your league, because we are going to break this thing down to specific trades that you need to be doing. We need to see who's on the waiver wire in your league. We're gonna put in the work for you. It's not just going to be it's not going to be a general cookie cutter thing that we're doing. We are going to personalize each experience based on exactly what your team needs and based on your competition and what the other teams you're going against look like.
I didn't realize we could say balls deep on this podcast, but here we are. Balls deep into it.
For MVP.
Just absolutely just balls all the way deep.
Wow, there you go.
Podcast for the people, gentlemen, for MVP.
Boy.